All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and start, even though some people aren't here yet. So we're really moving along. We're already at week 6. It seems to go so quickly for me, at least. I don't know about for you, but it's a great that we're getting to where we need to be. Let me open up my chat room and stuff so that I can see my chat area so that I can see if anybody posts anything. All right. So here's what we're going to go over this evening, the 1-minute survey. We'll talk about financial planning software. And we'll talk a little bit about the planner role and FP software, past, present, and the future. And then we'll go over some questions. I have a feeling that we're going to get done early tonight, but we'll see how it goes as we move along, depending on people's questions and stuff. All right, so I'm going to start out with, now this was a 1-minute survey that I got, not this term, the term before, but I thought it was a good one. I mentioned in one of my discussion posts that document stories is also allowed on most CRMs now. Would this be considered a CRM with a enterprise content management feature, or does a true ECM offer much more capabilities other than document storage? And a true enterprise content management system does have more than just a document storage. But I think that CRMs are evolving, so they have content management in their software that does more than just document storage. I went too far ahead. They have that centralized data warehouse. They have it's secure, and it's a repository for the items to be managed. You can import content, content wherever and whenever. Advanced document management, such as workflow management. So the workflow management could be where something has to go from one person, that has to be signed off, then we'll move on to the next person in that process, that kind of thing, where the document moves along until it's completed. And then analysis, analyzing the data and recording, and e-signatures, and user notifications. So, it really depends on what you need for your content management. And so different applications like a CRM may have all the functionality that you need for your particular business, where it might not have all the functions needed for another type of business. So, really you have to, when you're looking at your purchasing of software, you have to know what's available in each of the different softwares. And so, integration's important when you're looking at that too. And so that includes when you're talking about content management. Oh, sorry about that. I'm trying to move my screen here so I can see what's up on the screen better, but it's not helping me any, because they have all these little boxes with the camera and all that other stuff. So, so it's an application that analyzes and automatically tags content. It's a service that automates the generation of new content, such as reports or articles based on data sets and multiple aggregated content sources. It's a service that allows business users to build ad hoc content approval workflows based on forms and templates, and when that's all automated, there's no need for IT intervention. An application that proactively assists teams of workers to share knowledge and assets. And, you know, it might even be a service that would translate documents for you. Let's say that you have an office in France and something needs to be translated from English to French. Some of that content management stuff is able to do it. So that's a quick overview on that. And I found this image of all the different things that enterprise content management can do. It's business process management, it's imaging, it's archiving, it's digital asset management, it's web content management. And that's very helpful when you have a large in-depth website. It allows for collaboration, document management, record management. You know, it helps you with your social media content, online channel optimization, infrastructure content management, transactional content management. So enterprise content management includes all these things, but you really need to know what you need and what's going to serve you best. And so that's a quick overview on that. Now, this is another question that was from the time before, and it was from a student who said, I wanted to know how to further utilize enterprise content management and big data to assess marketing particular services to particular patients in my practice. And this gentleman is a dentist, and he wants to, you know, using it for a target market. And I gave him an example of the Cincinnati Zoo. And the Cincinnati Zoo had a goal to increase their revenue. And they didn't have much data out there at all. The only data they had about the visitors was the number of visitors a day. And then, you know, what the revenues they brought in. And so there was a need there. And they needed more insight on the activity of the visitors. And so that they could focus on the analytics and data management. And so they thought about this. How do we do it? How do we do this? And they set up one single platform, a centralized data warehouse, and then they implemented a business intelligence, which we'll be talking about next week too. So I'm bringing this in a little bit early on this, but next week we're talking about business intelligence and artificial intelligence and what the differences are in those. And so I wanted to bring this to your attention because I think it helps answer his question. And so they did a real-time analytics and reporting. So how they capture the information. And that, you know, we all have these loyalty cards with, you know, let's say with, you know, you go to the supermarket and they'll ask you if you have your card or what's your main telephone number that the card is associated with, so that, you know, when you do your purchase, there's some loyalty benefits out of that. You might get an extra little bit off on each item or whatever items that are designated for sale that week, that kind of thing. And so the zoo decided to do a very similar thing. So they set up a loyalty program, and it was a loyalty program to monitor purchases. And then they analyzed the data, and then it identified those who only purchased a ticket and sent a target email with discounts to those. And then other solutions, they fed weather forecast data, and the results, and that weather forecast data helped them to see what was going on at certain times when the weather was good or when the weather was bad, and they could relate, how many people were coming to the zoo at that time. And, in the end, what they ended up with are results of 6 months increase in 30.7% increase in sale over that 6 months period. And so here's some of the things that they did. They saw the highs and lows when people were purchasing food. And so, they saw that at a certain time of the day, people were going to the food counters. So what they ended up doing, they closed the food prep at 3 p.m. But they saw that ice cream was being bought throughout the day, and it didn't matter what time of day it was. So they kept the ice cream throughout the day. So the business intelligence application helped them figure out that this was the time and what they should do. So they saved money by closing down the food prep. I'm trying to remember some of the other things that they did. They saw when the weather was bad and what kind of how many people were going to be coming to and so they wouldn't fully staff. They would staff accordingly. So they didn't need to have as many people there on days that it was rainy and miserable out. Also, they were able to refine their target other than just sending discounts to those who only purchased a ticket. They did other things too to target their people, the people. And so they were able to figure a lot of things out by an analysis of what was going on. And then they made appropriate changes to what they were doing. So the intelligence part is, it's discovering and identifying and understanding the problems occurring in an organization. And so I think the selling of the food was a good example of that. And then they identified and explored solutions to whatever problems that they saw. And then once they had some solutions pulled together, they would make the choice on, among these solution alternatives, what's going to be our best direction we want to go to. And then they went through that implementation change where, they put it into place to monitor how well the solutions were working. And, decisions are better if they reflect the real world data. And so the Cincinnati Zoo was able to harness, pull in more data, harness that data, and then increase sales. And, they increased sales by 30.7%, but they also decreased some of the overhead because they were figuring out where they could better save money in doing different things. And so, this tells you where big data gets to be used to provide good decision making. And they used a business intelligent application to put that into effect. So, okay, so why use an enterprise content management system? I think we've covered all this. So I'm just going to keep moving on and move on to the financial services software. You know, there's goal-based, and that's what MoneyGuide Pro is. And then there's cash flow based, and eMoney is one of those cash flow based. And then there's scenario planning that you can do in different financial planning software. There's CRM, which we've talked about, the enterprise content management, the investments portion of it, where portfolio management and investment research comes into play. And then there's all those specialty softwares that are out there, maybe stress taking, risk tolerance, office management, account aggregation, those kind of things. And you're seeing, you know, technology is really changing for financial services. And I'm going to move on and then to the financial planning process. And at this point in time, this is what I want to say about this is I pulled, I was just before class, Lee Shu stopped in the office, and he always brings me some of the magazines that he gets, and he hands them off to me, and I look through and see what's interesting and what, you know, I feel is interesting and important. And there was an article, and technology, the title is Technology Alone is No Longer a Differentiator. And it's a really short article, but the ubiquity of plan tech removes all digital advantage firms once had. So, you know, software is being used by everybody now, and it really doesn't differentiate you. You know, there might be some little things here and there that differentiate you, but it's not like something that it's a need. I mean, you have to have it, and everybody has it, and so it's important. But the key is to bring value to the overall client experience, and the software is a tool to do that. But what differentiates you is being the planner and being the person who provides that services. And so, you know, it's a must to have, and anymore it doesn't differentiate you from other advisors. Like in the old days, if somebody had a software and other people were still doing things with spreadsheets and stuff, you know, now it's different. It doesn't differentiate. You just have to have it, but it's how you help the client. And then, so I brought in the planner's role, and this is the newest step-by-step review of the financial planning process. So anybody all of you who have already finished your capstone and your financial planning classes, you learned the 6-step method of the financial planning process. But now it's been changed to a 7-step method, the CFP board. So the first one is to understand the client's personal and financial circumstances. And then number 2 is identify and set the goals, provides guidance on ways a financial planner can assess and help to shape the client's financial goals. And then 3 is to analyze the client's current course of action and potential alternative course of action. And then 4 is to develop a financial planning recommendations. And then 5 is to present the financial planning recommendations. And then 6 is to implement the financial planning recommendations. And then 7 is to monitor the program and update. So really, the one that's up there now is really shows you the old way that they've gone through this process. So they've just added one more step. And, that's probably in, the last 2 parts of it, is that implementation of the financial planning recommendations. And then that last piece is to monitor, program, and update. And so it's a continuous process, in other words. So it's changed just a little bit. But my point is there's a financial planning process, and the software helps you go through that process. I'm sure you all know, I have heard of Michael Kitces, and if you haven't, I think I've talked about him before. But he's an American financial planner. He's a commentator, he's a speaker, he's an educator, and he frequently contributes to different industry publications. And he has his blog, which is called The Nerd's Eye View, and he has a newsletter for advisors. He's a practitioner. God, he's a really busy guy. And, he has some really good stuff on his website. And what I'm going to go through now is something I pulled from him. And it's a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But I think it still rings true. And, things go so fast. I'm talking about a year and a half and saying that it's that long. It's like it's a long time ago, but it still rings true. And that's why I'm bringing it. There's an ongoing evolution of financial planning software. And in the past, it was a sales tool. The goal was to provide and validate recommendations for all aspects of planning. It tried to simplify analysis of complex questions, but not for the client. It was really geared for the planner on what to tell the client. And this is the area that became the sweet spot for the robo planning. And this was the past. So, in the process, there was the planner's perspective, and then there was the client's perspective. And so this is really what Kitces' perspective view is on why clients don't see the value of a plan. Their perspective is a lot different than what your perspective as a planner is. And technology was a solution to the problem, but the client does not know the value of the software. It was talking at the client as opposed to talking to the client. So in the planner's perspective, in step 1, send new clients, gather data worksheet. And the client's perspective was oh, I got to do homework. Uh, and this homework came from my advisor who, who's supposed to be working for me. Um, and then the, the, the client probably isn't that organized to fill out all the information. And then on the planner's perspective, oh, I'm engaging with the client and we're gathering the data and we have a meeting to fill in the gaps of the data and then follow up with the client over advisors further to round out the data. And from the client's perspective, it was spend 2 hours in a meeting trying to answer further questions about financial goals, details you don't remember, know clearly, or you don't know clearly in the first place. And then the third step here was to, spend on the planner's perspective, spend 7 hours as an advisor, push another 6 hours to my support team in putting the data into the financial planning software and analyzing. Use additional spreadsheets or other software to conduct further analysis as I'm going through this. And this further analysis is not supported in today's financial planning software. And then the clients would go away for 2 weeks. And so there's nothing happening for those two weeks. Then the planner's perspective on the fourth step was to deliver a written financial plan with recommendations to the client. But the client's perspective, on the other hand, was come back and get a giant printout of projections and a page to tell me what to do. And then the fifth step was to monitor the client's situation annually or as needed. And then the client's perspective was, have planner run periodic updates of software projections. And so this was where we were. So now there's more real-time collaboration. And there's a goal to provide what-if answers for more complex questions. So you're looking at, what if this happens? How do we, adjust for that? Where they now allow scenarios and sensitivity analysis. And then as complexity increases, the planner value also increases. And you can see the list of, excuse me, financial planning software that are out there that help with it. And so if the goal is to actually formulate a plan or what to do in the future, given a range of possible outcomes, and then there's that real world uncertainty of life, it's necessary to examine a lot of different potential scenarios of how the future might play out. There might be questions like, what if I lose my job? What if the market drops drastically? And there's outlier scenarios out there too that you might want to just kind of look at and see. So, that's where value of advisors in the relationship is a lot of times. It's the behavioral component too. So that's where we are in financial planning software now. But now the question is where will we be in the future? And this is Michael Kitsis's view of the future, but I tend to agree with him, and so that's why I put this up there. And there's a lot of collaborative tools at the time you're doing the plan. And that's a good start, but you know, they need some ongoing tools to facilitate ongoing collaborative planning. And so this is what he sees in the future. You know, the goal is to eliminate the temporal barrier of planning by making it interactive and user friendly without reducing the planner's value. Continuous updates for all the assets. Client's personal financial management tool tracks actions, provides immediate answers, give positive feedback to the client when recommendations are implemented. You know, you ask somebody to do something, and you know they're more if they're getting a positive feedback for the different things that they are asked to do, they're more likely to continue in that of following through on things. Provide actionable strategies beyond investing. You know, that cash flow tracker. You know, a lot of people have budget issues, and those budget issues need to be addressed. And then if they're motivated by using that cash flow tracker, you can see them make the changes. And you know, having alerts that provide opportunities, or they might be warnings, and these might go to both the clients and advisor alerts. So the client may be getting alerted on certain things, and then the advisor may get alerts also, so that they can continue to collaborate more often with the clients. And he sees the planning software to be modular. So this is his dream process. You know, there's that data gathering. Well, if you re-image it and you talk to the client, it might be a way to get them more organized and talk about it in that way, as opposed to talking about it in the way of data gathering. And analyze data and formulate recommendation. Explore possibilities and set goals. Number 3, present planner and deliver recommendation. Brainstorm strategies and analyze tactics. And that's definitely a more collaborative approach. Number 4, implement whatever recommendations the client is willing to adopt. Illustrate recommendations and prioritize implementation. And as you can see, analyze data and formulate recommendations. That's that internal planning analysis. And the brainstorm strategies and analyze tactics is also that internal planning analysis. And then the green sections are more for the client meetings. All right, so this little image, he shows the past, present, and future. So the first past is the planner, and he's doing everything in his office. There's no interaction with the client as he's creating that plan. The present is using that as a collaborative tool, and you see that you have the client there, and then you have the advisor. And then the future is the client, and that's planning software as a client personal financial management, I guess that would stand for. but the advisor still, the one thing in that image that's missing is the client in that future image. And I think what he's trying to say, that it's not saying that the client isn't involved in this. It's more client centric, where the first financial planning was more advisor centric, and you know, the advisor still adds value, and they're not going away. And I don't see financial planners going away. So, and so that's a little image that Michael Kitts has put together. Okay, factors to consider when choosing financial planning software. And these are all good points, whether it's goal-based or cash flow-based. Straight line versus Monte Carlo. Interactive and collaborative versus printed reports. I think more and more people are going to that interactive and collaborative, as opposed to those printed reports. You know, the ease of input is important. Flexibility of assumptions. Modular financial planning tools. A client portal. That's important. More and more clients want to be able to go in and see. Account aggregation, data updates, third-party integration, and then other add-on services. So when you're deciding on, you know, what financial planning software you're going to use, these are some key things that that you should look at. Potential disruptive differentiators for the next generation of financial planning software. Real tax-focused financial planning. Spending and cash flow planning. Planning for Generation X and Generation Y clients. That's including managing student loan debt, budgeting, and cash flow support, career decisions, and human capital planning more generally. True retirement distribution planning, modeling for specific retirement liquidation strategies, including illustrating specific annuity products, bucketing strategies, asset location and partial Roth conversion strategies, dynamic spending adjustments, culminating in a withdrawn policy statement for the clients. Then there's the collaborative financial planning software, where there's no more paper reports. And then comprehensive planning software that actually creates a comprehensive written plan. So he says software that can produce an entire financial plan, eliminating the need to collate together financial planning software outputs in separate Word and Excel documents and other supportive material. And then ongoing financial planning with opportunity triggers, software built for just an initial financial plan, but an ongoing planning relationship. And both provides a historical roadmap as you go through it, and that the trends and the timelines of the progress and the success milestones. So this is from September of 2017. I have a little note there telling me that. So, you know, this is 2 years old. but I think it's still relevant. But we're still seeing things move along faster than, when we talked about this a couple years ago. So in 2017, I had gone to a T3 technology tools for today conference, and this was in Anaheim, California. And I even took one of our students, or a couple of our students attended with me. So it was a great opportunity. I didn't have the chance to go in 2018 or 2019, which was just a month or so ago. But things were changing, and they talked at that time about the changing environment, regulations and compliance, DOL and fiduciary responsibilities, and that's still out there. Everybody was talking about, the robo platforms, those digital advice platforms, and how that was going to affect. And RIA custodians have even fiercer technology competition. And so this, these were drivers of change in technology, and that's part of the thing. But as an advisor, there's differentiators to leverage the technology, and that what differentiates you from, it's the quality of your service. It's the quality of the plan. It's the quality of your advice that differentiates you from a computer generated plan. So those are the differentiators. At this conference, they talked about the top 2 reasons for software implementation failure for FP firms. Lack of process. That's why we talk so much about process in your, from the paper that you wrote and some of the articles that you have read, how important process is. And lack of software training. So know who software integrates with who. That's a separate thing. And train clients on using the software. Some of the software out there is pretty intuitive, but some of them are. And then it depends on your clients, some of them are more tech savvy than others, and it doesn't necessarily have to go by age. So you have to take that into consideration. So when they're in your office, maybe sit with them with an iPad and go through how to use the software, and if they're doing hands-on how to go through, they'll remember it better. And so sit with them and do it hands-on. At this conference, I sat next to a woman, and I think I might have told this story in this class, but maybe not. But she sat next to me, and they were demonstrating and I can't even remember which software it was. And it was a vendor demonstrating what their software could do. And she turns to me and she goes, "We have this software, and I never knew it could do those things." And I thought, there was something lacking there. And I asked her, did you train on it? And she goes, "Oh, we hardly had any training on it." And so it's important to train your not just the clients, but train the employees on the software. So I just wanted to bring that into. All right, I'm really going fast today. Um, so let me go on here. And this is killing a dead horse, cybersecurity. But governance and risk assessment's important. Access rights and controls, data loss prevention, vendor management, training, incident response. And we talked about this before. And then we've talked about this too before. Strong password policy, the use of two-factor authentication, mobile management, device and access monitoring, logs, access logs on users' access to the software as a service applications, and non-managed devices such as home computers and tablets. Somebody was telling me how somebody could download from their cloud-based stuff to a home computer. And what's the security on that home computer? It's a scary thing to think about. All right, so gosh, now we'll go on, and we're going to do around the room, just touch base with everybody around the room. I guess this is a little holiday gift for you guys. We might finish a half hour early. So I'm going to start today with Andrew. Andrew, you can talk about anything tonight, any what we've talked about today, any questions you have. Also, I want to know if everybody's been in and seen their grades for their papers, and were able to see my comments and stuff. And so I'll start with you, Andrew.
Alrighty. Yes, I saw my grade. No, I have not had the time to look at your comments just yet, so I'll get there. I actually had a couple of questions on the Money Guide Pro exercise.
Okay.
It looks like there were 2 different case studies.
Yeah.
Are we choosing one? We're just choosing one of the 2?
Just choose one. I just put 2 in there because then it's nice for me to have a little variety.
Understood. And then the other portion of that was I went in, registered myself, was trying to give you access to things. But when I was looking you up by your email, I wasn't able to find you.
Oh, well, let me check with Money Guide Pro. And then also, I hope I didn't have anything in there that gave the old number. I thought I made sure we had the new number. They give us a different number every year. But I would be in it either way, I think.
Yeah, one of the documents had 2 different registration codes on it. One of them worked fine. The other just said no. This one's no good.
Oh, okay.
So I assume we're good on that front.
Okay.
But just trying to give you access, I wasn't able to do that.
All right. Let me check with Money Guide Pro. I'll check with them.
Awesome.
And I probably won't have an answer for you until Monday.
Okay, that's fine. Enjoy the Easter weekend.
Yeah. Any comments that you have, or anything that you've?
So it wasn't my first time seeing Michael Kitsis's take on this stuff. I'm not sure which class it was, but I've been privy to this information before. I agree with his logic and in terms of getting things to be more collaborative, eliminating all that dead time of data gathering and that initial planning process that where they do go away for 2 weeks and they don't know what we're doing. So I think our team is getting better at keeping that process tight, eliminating wasted time, and really being dynamic in our initial draft planning meetings. where we can change scenarios on the fly for them. So I think we're slowly but surely getting to where Kitces would like us to be.
What are some of the things that you do to, it's hard to get people to do things sometimes. And what are some of the things that you do to help motivate them?
In terms of data gathering, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
We do our best to step in where we can. So what that looks like is, info disclosure forms, so we can go directly to CPAs and talk to them directly. We're trying to get all of our clients. We have a total view tool, much like mint.com, where they can register all of their outside accounts one time, and then they automatically link up going forward. So rather than having to track them down each year or each quarter for statements, that data is flowing through automatically.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering what people do, because it's a difficult job to make people do that. Everybody's so busy, and this is not a fun thing to do.
Yes. Hagin and I commiserate on this frequently, that this is probably the least favorite part of our job, is doing data gathering.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Eric, any comments or?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, ironically enough, the last part you just touched on, cybersecurity. I find that pretty interesting in the sense that I've actually invested a lot of my clients in the cybersecurity space, because I think there's a lot of room to grow there, and it's been a pretty good investment so far. But yeah, I think it's going to be an area that's up and coming. We've done a lot of great work in this world on moving forward with technology, but not such a good job on protecting everybody's personal information. So I think that is going to be an interesting area for the years to come. So, yes.
Yeah, and it may be, people, a lot of times it's people just thinking they're doing the right thing and they're not. One of our faculty last week had her laptop crash because of malware, and she was doing something, I don't know what she was doing, but we had to send out a computer to her as a loaner in the meantime. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh, I can empathize with that right now.
Yeah. So, and then you don't know what all the information, our stuff is pretty secure, and it's all online and stuff, but I don't know how impacted it was on her
Yeah.
computer. She has changed her password and done all those things, and we don't know, what it was, how she contracted it, because it's her own personal computer,
Right. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, on a separate note, I did have one quick question about this week's assignments. There's on the quiz posting,
Yeah.
it said that you're not permitted to enter and exit the quiz. And so I just want to make sure that's the deal.
No, you can enter and exit.
Oh, you can? Okay, yeah. On there it said you're not permitted to do that. I was like, oh, I almost went in there. I was like, oh, I better ask.
No.
Okay.
Look at the setting on it. That's an error.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to double check. Thanks.
All right. Erica, your turn.
Hello.
Hi.
One of my comments, I guess, was the things that have that I've seen over time with the financial planning software that have been the most helpful are the aggregation tools. Because in the past, that data gathering was the most difficult part. Just because people are not organized, they don't have any idea where the insurance policy is. They don't know, what we're even talking. And they bring you information and it's the wrong thing, or, you know,
Yeah,
whatever it is. But it's really helpful to just be able to pull it.
yeah.
Um,
And you know, I would say less than 5 years ago, hardly anybody had an aggregation. And I think it was probably about that time. And then now it seems like everybody has some sort of aggregation tool.
yeah, that's just, I think, has been a huge improvement. So whoever, you know, came up with that idea was a genius. In terms of, you know, just making it easier for everyone, you know, clients don't have to find it and you don't have to nag.
Yeah.
But I also am kind of interested in what software anyone else has used and liked.
Oh,
I know Money Guide Pro and eMoney are common, but has anyone else in the class used other software that you like?
anybody want to add to that? You're more than welcome to just jump in now.
Well, I'll just throw out there that I've used several, and Money Guide Pro is the tops, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I hear both ways. Money Guide Pro was recently bought by InvestNet.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if that's going to be what the changes will be in the future or whatever. And I don't think it's a bad thing. But I'm seeing now is that a lot of software is being bought up by other companies, and then you know, they might be using, you know, some of the tools to make their stuff better. But and I don't know what the forecast is for that. You know, sometimes you read a company will buy somebody up, and then in the long run, you know, that other company just kind of disappears, and then everybody's brought into the fold, and sometimes they're still kept separate. I don't know what's going to happen with that, and I don't know because I haven't read a whole lot. It was just done this month in April, and I just saw a little blurb on it, so I don't know enough information on it. But it's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Just to watch to see what happens, and not necessarily a bad thing, you know. Oh. Any other questions or comments, Erica?
No, I think that was it.
Thank you. All right, G, any questions or comments you have tonight?
No questions really in regards to tonight's topic. You know, I thought it was, I think it, you know, the question about someone was saying that the least favorite part of their day is the data gathering. For me, actually, I find that to be the most enjoyable part. You know, that's at the end of the day, that's what we do. You know, we gather data, try to find weaknesses in clients' financials, plans, and, you know, and it's a way for us to kind of uncover assets. So, you know, for me, I enjoy it. As far as other programs I've used, I guess most of the firms that I work with have their own personal software for data gathering and financial planning. So I've never really used any other outside sources. So I'm actually really interested in using the Money Guide Pro to see how it competes to the software that I currently use.
You know, sometimes they have somebody else's software, but they've customized it, and so you don't know and then sometimes they've just built their own software, you know, too. So you see both. But sometimes you don't know what software they customized either. I know where Andrew and Hagin worked, they used to use Navaplan. That's Ameriprise, and they really customized it. It was a real customization. And so a lot of it was very specific to them. So if you learned Naviplan and then you went to Ameriprise, there was a lot more customization that went on. And you had a foundation there, but you didn't know everything because it was, of all the stuff that they had worked with Naviplan to make it their own. All right. Well, thank you. Again, any comments tonight or?
No comments. I'm Andrew, hating to collect the data, not just we enjoy processing it or getting, to analyze it, but just getting it from the client just makes it so much, it takes a long time. Sometimes they just send us data during their meeting while they're on their computer. Sometimes it's like their clients who send it like a month before, their clients who are like 2 days before the meeting. So what we realize is that clients are more responsive within the week of their meeting because they're now in their thought process as they think about the meeting. They want to get this to you. They're interested in it. But if it's anything before that, it's just really hard to get data from them.
Yeah, I didn't hear everything that you said. I was trying to listen because your voice is so light, but I think I got the gist of what we were talking about with the issues with data gathering. All right, thank you. And Jesse, any comments you have for us tonight or?
No, not really. The only thing, I wasn't able to view your comments on the paper. I saw my grade, but I couldn't see the comments on it. So that was the only thing.
I'm glad I asked because I did the grading and comments within the Turnitin software.
Okay.
And I don't know if it automatically, your comments are viewable there. But
I did not see any comments when I went through the 2 PDFs that you can see or whatever on the Turnitin thing. So.
Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll put the comments in the Blackboard section.
Sounds good.
I'll work on that tomorrow morning for everybody so that they can see how it was graded out and what my comments were. So. All right, thank you for letting me know that. Jocelyn, any comments or questions you have?
No, not really. The only thing I would say is I had a really hard time hearing you tonight. Like, even though I could see you sitting right there, it sounded like you were in like the far corner of the room.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I might have to watch the lecture because it was really hard to hear you. It's like almost like you were muffled a little bit, but other than that, I really don't. I'm gonna have to rewatch the lecture, to be honest.
I should probably move a little closer. Does that sound better for you?
A little bit.
Okay. Huh. Because I haven't changed anything. But tonight it's just more faint for you. Thanks for letting me know that. Should have raised your hand earlier. I would have tried to be a little louder in my talking.
Well, sometimes I think it's my connection because the house here has so many things connected to the internet, and I try to turn a lot of them off so I can get better connection. But to be honest, it's like these lectures cut out so frequently for me that I miss half of it anyway. So regardless if I could hear you or not.
Oh, okay. So,
It's okay.
yeah, those things happen. Did anybody find the Cincinnati Zoo thing interesting and their use of data? Is anybody familiar with any other stories about companies who have turned things around because of using data?
Well, the only part I know about the Cincinnati Zoo is I think that's when they killed that Harambe gorilla.
Oh, yeah.
So, that was good. But no, I haven't heard that analogy before.
And that was more recent. So my story happened before. So maybe they're The revenue has gone down.
Right? Yeah.
So bad PR. Yeah, that affects it.
Oh yeah.
So, wow. All right. All right. So next week we're going to talk about business intelligence and artificial intelligence, and I'm going to do my best to clarify the differences in between them because, you know, there is a difference, and I kind of do a side-by-side comparison. So that's what I'll do for next week. And then the Money Guide Pro case study is due on Sunday, May 5th. And then the final exam is due Monday, May 5th. And then, oh, I have that down there twice. I just put business intelligence the first time, but I didn't see my artificial intelligence, so then I wrote it again and I didn't look back at the last one. So I guess that's it. I wish everybody a happy Easter weekend, and I hope you have tomorrow off. I do, and I'm happy about it. I've had a really busy time here in the office, so it feels good to have an extra day. All right, if nobody has any more questions, we'll just go ahead and end for tonight.
Thanks, Cindy.
All right, thanks, everybody.